This is America Weekend. I'm Mike Bennett. Naturalist and farmer Greg Quinn, who's responsible for bringing black currants to the U.S. market and grows black currants on his Currant farm in the Hudson Valley, New York, is a regular contributor here with his Notes from the Currant Farm.
I'm Greg Quinn with this week's Notes from the Currant Farm. Science fiction writers as far back as Isaac Asimov and Robert Heinlein have been imagining what residents from other galaxies would look like. Many of the early writers of these genres had trouble getting their stories published because the societies and inhabitants they envisioned were considered too far-fetched to be believable. But one doesn't need to travel light years to view horrific, murderous aliens living in a society without conscience. They live right here on the Currant farm. They're called insects, and one of the most alien of them all is the praying mantis. The word mantis comes from the Greek mantikos, meaning prophet. These large insects indeed look wise and all-knowing, and their name comes from the manner in which they hold their forearms, which appears like they're praying. Mantises have a visual range of up to 60 feet. They have two large compound eyes, spaced quite far apart, and three other eyes between them. This combination gives them wide binocular field of vision, and at close range, precise stereoscopic vision. The dark spot on each eye is called a pseudopupil, and it makes the mantis appear more animal than insect. And they have the unique ability in the insect world of being able to swivel their head 180 degrees and will turn and look at you when you approach. Oddly, the praying mantis only has one ear, located on the underside of its belly. One ear means they cannot determine the direction of sound, but they can detect echolocation produced by bats. Studies have shown that flying praying mantises are experts at evading bats at night. Of the 2,400 species of mantises, only 18 are here in the United States, and the most common, the Chinese and European mantises, were actually imported in the last 100 years. They use them to help control agricultural insects. The truth is, they do eat a lot of bad insects, but they probably eat just as many good ones. A praying mantis will just as likely grab one of my honeybees from a flower as it will a gypsy moth caterpillar. When they are young, they consume tiny insects. As they grow, the size of the prey they choose increases. Large species have been known to prey on small scorpions, lizards, frogs, birds, fish, and even rodents. Last year, I saw one here on the farm which had just captured a hummingbird. They are often seen in ambush pose, staying very still on a branch, or sometimes swaying side to side. When a victim is in close range, the mantis strikes out with lightning speed, grasping and holding the prey with its spiked forelegs. The mating season begins in the fall, and it's not uncommon for the female to kill and eat the much smaller male. Talk about unimaginable social habits. The female then lays up to 400 eggs. The eggs are usually deposited in a frothy mass that hardens, creating a protective capsule attached to a small twig. As soon as the young hatch in the spring, they set about seeking their first meal, which is often each other. For a podcast of this and previous notes from the Currant Farm, and to learn about the healthiest berry of all, go to currant's.com. That's currants with an A.
All right, Greg, so tell us your Father's Day story that relates to this particular show and the segments you do.
Had the grandkids over to the farm for the weekend, and one of my smaller grandchildren, I saw her out in the field next to the flowers looking at the bees, and she had a stick in her hand as a microphone, and she was saying, "And this is Mike Bennett with Notes from the Currant Farm and Greg Quinn," reporting from the field.
Oh, that's terrific. And she's 5 years old. She's got a career in radio.
She does. Any openings?
Not at this time, but, by the time she's ready, I'll be ready to pack it in.
Wonderful.
We'd love to hear from you. Send me an email at mikeaw@mikebennettradio.com. You can also follow me on Twitter at MikeBennett11. And with farmer and naturalist Greg Quinn, I'm Mike Bennett. You're listening to America Weekend.